Okay, so you're tuning in because you want to get smart, fast. We get it. You don't want to feel like you just ran a mental marathon.
Exactly. And that's what this deep dive is all about. We take a source and really pull out the core insights for you.
Today, we're looking at an article you shared. It's from Educational Psychology Review, just out this year.
That's right. It's called Evolution of a Learning Theory, in praise of scientific speculation. The authors are Patricia A. Alexander and P. Karen Murphy.
That title, In Praise of Scientific Speculation, it's definitely a bit of a head turner, isn't it? Speculation in science.
It does sound a bit, well, counterintuitive at first. We usually think science is all hard facts, right? Evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But what Alexander and Murphy are really doing here is highlighting a fundamental part of how we understand learning, something maybe overlooked,
So our mission for this dive.
is to figure out why they think this scientific speculation is so vital, especially, for building theories in educational psychology.
Okay, got it. And this article, it's not presenting totally new research itself, right? I gathered it looks back at something.
That's correct. It actually revisits a keynote address Patricia Alexander gave way back in 2006.
Wow, 2006, that's nearly 2 decades ago.
hmm
What was so important about that speech that it needs revisiting now?
Well, back then, Alexander made this really compelling case. She argued that scientific speculation, those initial imaginative thoughts, those leaps,
Hmm.
they just weren't getting the respect they deserved, not in how educational psychology was building its theories.
Oh, okay.
So this 2024 article, it looks back at her points from then, and it considers, well, how has the field changed? Or maybe how hasn't it changed in embracing that idea?
Interesting. And I remember reading, she used a pretty cool analogy back then, something with a cosmologist. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, exactly. She drew a parallel to the work of Jean Maguejo, a cosmologist.
Yeah.
His ideas from around 2003.
And boy, ho, wasn't he known for some pretty bold theories? Like
Yeah,
about the speed of light maybe not being constant?
that's the one. Really radical stuff for physics, suggesting the speed of light might have varied in the very early universe.
So how does that connect to educational psychology?
Well, Alexander used Magueyo's willingness to, entertain these seemingly out there ideas to speculate about the fundamentals of the cosmos.
Right.
She used that as an analogy for the kind of imaginative what if thinking she felt was crucial for breakthroughs in understanding learning.
So like a cosmologist imagining unseen forces.
Precisely. She argued educational psychologists need to boldly imagine new ways learning might happen, even before they can nail down the proof.
Okay.
That imaginative leap is often where the really groundbreaking theories start.
So it's not just about pulling ideas out of thin air. It's valuing those initial, maybe slightly wild what-if questions, the imaginative sparks before the hard testing.
Exactly that. She believed these speculative leaps are like the seeds from which testable theories eventually grow.
Yeah.
Without that first phase, that imaginative exploration, our thinking can get stuck, too confined by what we already think we know.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Like needing to imagine a totally new kind of building before you can even start drafting blueprints.
Good analogy.
And the article mentions Alexander's own theory quite a bit, the model of domain learning. For anyone not familiar, what is that, basically,
Hmm.
and how did speculation fit in there?
Sure. The model of domain learning, in a nutshell, is Alexander's big framework for understanding how people develop expertise, in academic subjects.
Okay, like going from beginner to expert.
Exactly. It looks at how your knowledge, your interest in the subject, and the strategies you use for learning how all those things interact and change over time.
Gotcha.
And what's really key here, the article points out that developing this model wasn't just about the existing data for Alexander. It was also fueled by her own speculations.
Ah, so her own educated guesses.
Yes, her insightful observations, her hunches about how these different pieces of knowledge, interest, strategies might fit together and influence each other, these weren't always based on hard proof right at the start.
So those crucial first imaginative steps were involved in her own big theory. Okay, now this is really interesting. The article talks about things that can help or hinder this kind of speculation.
Yeah.
What are some of those factors?
Right. Alexander outlined a few. On the encouraging side, you've got things like, well, just a general culture of intellectual curiosity.
Just wanting to ask questions.
Yeah, a real thirst for asking why and exploring new ideas. Also being willing to challenge existing assumptions in the field. That's big.
Mm-hmm. And exposure to different ways of thinking.
Definitely. Diverse perspectives are key. Now, on the other side, things that hinder it. a research environment that's too focused only on empirical data.
Like data above all else.
Sort of, yeah. To the point where maybe theoretical exploration gets sidelined. Or a culture where people are really afraid of being wrong or proposing something unconventional.
Fear of looking silly, basically.
That can really shut down those initial speculative thoughts. And also a lack of conversation between different disciplines. That
Yeah.
can limit the cross-pollination of ideas.
You know, that really feels true beyond just this field. In so many areas, there's this pressure to have the data, have the answers now.
Exactly. And that can unintentionally discourage that more exploratory, that what-if stage.
Yeah.
And the article makes another important point. Alexander also talked about what needs to happen after the speculation. How do you translate it into theories you can actually test?
Okay, so it's not just dreaming things up. There has to be a path forward.
Right. It's not about making wild guesses and leaving it there. There needs to be a way for these initial ideas to be looked at really closely, tested, refined, through systematic research.
So speculation is the kickoff, the initial brainstorm, maybe, but it absolutely needs the follow-through with the scientific method, testing, validation.
Absolutely. The authors aren't saying, hey, just make claims with no basis. They're stressing how crucial that first creative spark is, that moment of seeing what could be. That's often the necessary first step before you even design the studies to check if those ideas hold water.
It's like the architects of our understanding need to dream up new buildings, new ways to structure knowledge
Right.
before the engineers can come in and test if they're sound, if they'll stand up.
That's a really good way to put it. And what's insightful is this ongoing discussion, not just in educational psychology, but probably lots of fields,
Yeah.
about how to balance generating new theories with rigorously testing the ones we have. This article is a great reminder that these two things aren't enemies.
They're connected.
Deeply interconnected. They actually help each other.
So let's bring this home for the listener. Someone interested in fields like this, or just how knowledge develops, why should this conversation about speculation matter to them?
Well, thinking about the big picture, understanding speculation's role helps us appreciate that the theories we often just accept.
The frameworks we use?
Yeah, they didn't just pop out of thin air fully formed. They often started with someone asking a really bold question, imagining a totally different way things might work, even without proof, right away.
It makes you look at established ideas a bit differently.
It does. It encourages a more critical view. Knowing even solid theories likely started as speculation reminds us they're always being refined, always open to more questions.
And it really puts the human element back into science, doesn't it?
Okay.
It's not just cold data. Creativity, intuition, they play a big role just in framing the questions we decide to ask.
Precisely. And this article pushes us to value that initial imaginative phase and to think about how we create environments in research, sure, but also in education itself. Environments that actually nurture that curiosity, that willingness to speculate, to ask what if without fearing instant judgment.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. This deep dive into the Alexander and Murphy article.
It tells us scientific speculation is crucial, right? It needs a rigorous testing later, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's that vital first step in understanding complex things, like how we learn. It's those first bold ideas, the imaginative leaps, the what-ifs.
Like the Magueo analogy.
Yeah.
Pushing boundaries.
Exactly, pushing boundaries in thinking. And this article, looking back at that 2006 call, it's a timely reminder to give that speculative phase more attention, more respect, especially when you see its role in theories like Alexander's own model of domain learning.
That sums it up nicely. They're basically arguing that big progress often starts not with the data itself, but with the imaginative frameworks that guide how we even look for and interpret data.
The idea comes first.
That initial spark, yeah. It sets the stage for all the systematic work that follows. Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Today, there's such a huge emphasis on data, on evidence, on hard results. So, what role do you think those educated guesses, those imaginative leaps, should play in other areas of knowledge and discovery?
Interesting question.
Is there maybe a balance we need to strike between that essential rigor of testing and validation and the sheer power of that initial speculative thinking? Definitely something to ponder. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.